Excellent. So let's get started. So welcome everybody. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly community call happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Today is September 5th, 2023. And this call we always have, or typically have, Microsoft presenters. This time we also have a bit of an exception, which I will explain as we go to the agenda slide. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in the Microsoft 365 platform areas, and I will be your host today. Also, we'll have multiple other people speaking as well. Now, agenda of today, we'll go through the latest updates and news on the Microsoft 365 platform. We'll go news around the Microsoft blogs, so typical setup of things, what's happening within the last week. And then we'll do the group picture time together mode for those who are willing to enable the video. We'll grab a GIF animation out of that and sharing that within the YouTube, not within YouTube. Well, it will be in YouTube as well as part of the recording, but in social media. That's what I was about to say. Now, today we have a special demo from Dan and Jeppe, who were part of the Microsoft Teams Global Hackathon earlier this spring. So this is the exception on the rule that we have a Microsoft presenter. So Dan and Jeppe are not actually Microsoft people, but as they are one of the winners within that hackathon, they will be demoing their awesome solution within this call. And then that will be followed up by Irene Wang around add actions to files within custom actions across Microsoft 365. Really, really cool capability as well, because you can modify even the Microsoft 365 welcome page by easily with this stuff. Awesome capabilities. And then that's followed by Marcel Ferreira around create a Power App from your ASP.NET API Visual Studio Power Platform. So really cool setup as well. All of the demos are targeted to be 15 minutes, so we'll do the intro within 12 to 14 minutes roughly if we keep the schedule. And then we move to the demo section. And I can see somebody beeping on the background. If we can, hopefully that's not just me hearing voices. I don't know. That could happen as well. Now, let's go through some of the assets what we see. We'll typically go through within this section. So we do have our Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community video YouTube channel. In here, we publish all of the demos, community calls, and a lot of other material for makers, builders, developers, and even some of the stuff is for end users within the channel. Subscribe there today, so you'll know whenever there is a new video available. We do publish at least one new video every single day, which is really cool. We do have our LinkedIn group for discussion, so you can share your findings and have a discussion with the community attendees there. We have a lot of open source assets available. We're breaking the 1,700 samples on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform areas within this open source site. And the easiest way to access those samples is through our sample galleries. And primary gallery being AKMS/community/samples, where you can find all of the more than 1,700 samples across the different extensibility options. And if you're wondering, wait, what a lot of URLs to remember, I can't remember all of this. Luckily, it's only one, /AKMS/community/home, from where you can find all of the details around what this community is all about. Now, we do execute quite a lot of these community calls, this being the one, which is happening every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, weekly basis, and typically Microsoft presenters. On top of this call, we have the Power Platform and Office Add-ins monthly community calls, and then we have our Thursday series, which is either Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or Viva Connection and SharePoint Framework community call. So that's bi-weekly. So every single week, Thursday, 7 a.m., there's a call, which is either one of those. In those calls, it's more about community showcasing the art of possible for other people in the community, and I will share you in a second how to volunteer for those demos. First of all, you can download the recurrent invites from AKMS/community/calls, and if you're wondering on what are the agendas and what's in the plans, we always week before, roughly, we publish those agendas at Meetup, so that is a great location to sign up, so you will get actually email notifications when the agendas are being shared. Now, I did mention the community demos. So if you sign up, you can sign up for the community demos within typically in a Thursday call or in a Power Platform monthly call. So you go to this one form, you fill it up, and we'll get you scheduled in one of these calls, depending on the content, what you're suggesting to present. This doesn't have to be rocket science. It's all about just something what you shared or something what you built, something what you tested or find out related on Power Platform, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Craft, and so on, and sharing that learning with others, because we learn by sharing, we learn by hearing what the other people are solving within their day-to-day work. So not just by Microsoft preaching and telling you to use our platform. No. Let's learn from others who are using the platform and building their experiences on top of it. We have a lot of assets available for you to get started. We have the Microsoft 365 developer program with the free E3E5 tenants, which will renew automatically as long as you use it for developer purposes, and a lot of material, of course, in the Microsoft Learn for you to get started. And all of this is free to make it really easy for get started in the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform areas. We have also a lot of podcasts and typically weekly series available. So we have the PMP Microsoft 365 PMP Weekly, which the latest episode actually went live earlier today. Funny enough about Dan Toft. Dan, today's been really your day. It's a sample which went live earlier today. Sample video. You do a live community call demo today, and you were part of the visitor in the PMP Weekly. So really cool setup. Everything happening in one day. Now, we also have the Mondays at Microsoft with Caruana and Heather. We have the Power Platform Connections with David Warner and Hugo Bernier. And then we have the Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast hosted by Jeremy Hague, Paul Schaffelin, and Aisha Bass, depending on the week of the episode. As I mentioned, we have a lot of samples available. So don't start from scratch. Go to the sample gallery, have a look on things. These are actually MIT licensed samples, so you can actually take them, adjust them, learn from them, and start using some of the code inside of them within your solution as well. And that's really the main idea here. Do not start from scratch. Have a look on if there's something which will get you started, and then learn from there and expand the capabilities from there. Absolutely, really awesome stuff available from this location. As you then find a sample, you might be wondering, oh, this is GitHub. I have no idea what I'm doing. How do I get started? Oh my God, David, help me. David, please help me.
Yes, I'm here to help you, Vesa. I am here to help you. Thank you. Well, you may wonder, friends, where all those 1,700 plus samples come from. Well, we locked Vesa in his office. Just kidding. It comes from all of you. But you may be wondering how that happens. It uses GitHub, and GitHub can be scary. So these sessions are set up to be live, hands-on guidance that provides you the knowledge and power and experience to do things like understand what a pull request is. What is fork? What is raw? What is blame? What do all these terms mean? We're going to discover it together. So definitely go ahead to aka.ms/sharingiscaring. Join that Power Platform samples contributor that is scheduled. We're doing videos of some of the others to make them a little more on demand that are less interactive, and definitely get involved. Be on the lookout for some new ones coming up soon as well. We're getting back on the saddle. Yep, back on the saddle. But you may be wondering, what happens once I contribute? Well, we recognize you. We want to make sure that you're recognized for all the amazing work that you're doing. And we got some new badges coming out. We've got the PNP Framework, PNP Core SDK. We've got our fun thematic badges coming soon, kicking off with the pumpkin spiced, a lot of commits. So definitely get opted in if you are not already. You can do that at ak.ms/community/recognition. Absolutely free, powered by Credly. And we will send you out some cool badges. And keep on the lookout for the kickoff of all these, including the PSL. Vesa, back to you in Finland.
Excellent. Thank you, LA and David Warner. Now, I have to say the pumpkin spice latte commit, that's a pretty US-based badge, but we Europeans or rest of the world can get it as well. So from Asia and everybody else, even though you wouldn't have pumpkin spice lattes in your location, you can still get the badge, which is really cool. Now, related on the other things, so we have a lot of events available for you to attend on the 365 EduCon series. This year, the DC and Seattle has already happened, and Chicago is coming in October 13th through to November 3rd. So really great opportunity to catch up what's happening within the ecosystem across Microsoft 365 Power Platform and meet up the MVPs and other community members. Now, before that, we actually have also the Microsoft Power Platform Conference happening in Las Vegas on October 3rd to 5th, 2023 in the MGM Grand. So really great venue. Been there a few times. Even though I personally don't quite like Vegas, MGM is not too bad actually. So it's a great venue and a great conference, no doubt. On top of these kind of primary conferences, there's a lot of other conferences and events happening. So they are not necessarily paid conferences. Some of these are free. Some of them might have a cost. Some of them might happening close to you. Some of them might happening online. So please check out all of the different events which are available at communitydays.org. Now, quick recap on, no idea what thought you're counting on the video, so I'm just watching it. So now, whoever is not seeing the videos might be confusing. What is he now talking? It's okay. I'm seeing videos and might be a bit confusing. And we are every now and then a bit confused. At least I am. It's okay. Now, news from Microsoft within this week. So a quick list of the news. I know that typically David is pasting in the links on the chat on these. So we have a lot of news growing, more and more weekly news coming up. So we have few news from Microsoft Teams, like the monthly summary on what's happening within the August timeframe. The same applies for SharePoint roadmap. So August 2023 summary there, which is not just about SharePoint, also OneDrive, Viva stuff, and all of those things aggregated to one single blog post listing what's the latest, what's happening. And then there's a update on the Viva Connection, mobile frontline workers experiences, and then Microsoft is announcing preview on the new Copilot capabilities in Power Automate process mining. That's pretty interesting as well. No, personally, not quite sure what that means, but I will definitely have a look on that. And also 3 new news on the Microsoft 365 developer side related on API billing, developer proxy, and adaptive card-based loop components, which are now in public preview. Not going to deep dive on any of these too detailed. The links are in the chat. We'll put it in the recording summary as well, so you can have a look on what's available on them. Now, before we go to the group photo and start with the stars of today, let's actually recap also what's the latest on the Teams platform update. So what's new on the documentation on that side, and Wachid is here to cover this section.
Thanks, Vesa. Hello, everyone. So we have 2 updates to cover today. First, the adaptive card-based loop components are available in public developer preview. It enables you to build collaborative experiences within your Teams message extension that works across Microsoft 365. Adaptive card-based loop components have actionable content that enables user to make live updates without having to switch context between Microsoft 365 apps, such as Teams and Outlook. Second, your bot can now mention tags in the text messages as well as adaptive card posted in channels. When the bot mentions the tag in a channel, the tag is highlighted and the people associated with the tag get notified. To mention the tag, you need to set the mention type as a tag and ID of the tag, which can be fetched using Graph API. Both of these features are currently available in public developer preview. Please go ahead and try it out. If you have any feedback or suggestion, please post it on ak.ms/Teams platform feedback. The link is available in the footer. You could also configure to RSS feed to get the regular platform updates. Back to you, Vesa.
Excellent. Thank you, Wachid, on this one. Really, really cool capabilities, and great to see the weekly after week new capabilities rolling out as well. Awesome stuff. Now, before we go to the actual demos of today, and let's do a quick group photo using the Microsoft Teams Together mode, and I will move in the video feed in here, and we'll capture that from here. So we have 50 seats in the room. I can see a lot of familiar faces there, and some hats in the room as well. That's really good. Yes, Todd, we can see your classes. Are those new? There we go. 50 seats in a room, 50 seats in a room. I will do the scary piece. I will put my camera on as well. So let's see, hopefully the pixelation doesn't start. It looks good. I will click to recording. Let's do some hand waving. Todd is showing us how it's done on the back row. Really, really cool. Thanks everybody for joining. Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Good to see smiling faces, even though there's some pauses on the feed as well. Excellent. Brilliant. Thanks everybody for joining. We'll grab a GIF animation out of that and share that within the social media. Now, then it's time to go to the actual stars of today. So we'll start with the Microsoft Teams Hackathon. So as said, Dan Toft and Jeppe, if that's the right way of pronouncing Jeppe's name, were part of that, and they were the award winner for the productivity section. So thank you, Jeppe and Dan, on that one. And just take it away from your side.
Absolutely. I'll start a screen sharing just a moment here. There we go.
Yes.
There we go. So
yep, we can see the screen. Take it away.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep. All good. All good.
All good. Awesome. We built a Teams app that is a guest user overview. While that sounds pretty broad, what we wanted to do is essentially help admins get an overview of who's in their tenants. But we'll get back to that. Let's start off with a little introduction. Starting with myself, my name is Dan. I am a Microsoft 365 developer, consultant. I've been working with this stuff for a couple of years by now, doing community stuff for about a year, mostly active over on Twitter, or X, where you can find me at Tandant. And then I have a blog where I write articles about the cool stuff that I find. With me today, I have my co-presenter, Jeppe.
Yes, hello. My name is Jeppe, and fairly new to the Microsoft consultant world. I worked with this in about 9 months. And I also have a blog, fairly new also. Yeah, that's about me.
Awesome. Let's take a look at what we're going to go through today. So I actually switched up the agenda just a bit, just like seconds before going live here. So the agenda is in a slightly wrong order. We will start with a why we built what we built. And then we will go to the demo, talk a little bit about how we built it. Jeppe will be presenting some code, and then we will summarize on what we learned. So why did we build what we did? Well, essentially what we found is that a lot of our customers or clients are always calling up and asking about, how do I know which guest users are active in my tenant? And the consultant answer is always, well, you can see it in the Enter ID portal, which unfortunately just doesn't always like sit right with people because it's hard to get an overview in there. You can see the list, but who's actually active? What do they have access to? And oftentimes when you're doing something like guest user invites, you were finding we have trouble with people not being able to actually follow through on the invite, and then they have to like regenerate the invitation ID, and that's always hard. So we built a solution, or at least attempted to. Let's take a look at that. So here it is. It's running inside Teams. It will run inside, or here it's running inside the Microsoft 365 or Office. It will also run inside Teams without any problems, which is, of course, what the hackathon was designed to. So let's go ahead and jump right into Teams and see it working there. And I'll zoom a little bit here. So what we built to start with is just a list of all the guest users you have. And then we added the things we find relevant, such as their email. When were they created? When did they last sign in? Did they ever sign in? Using some colorful pills in like in our view to just make sure that it's actually like easily digestible for an IT admin to see, okay, this guy hasn't been signed in for 3 months. His account is red because we've blocked him. Maybe it's time we delete his account. Whereas I can see, okay, yep, he signed in yesterday. Let's click his name and see. So we can see right away, okay, he's not a member of any group, so he's not in any teams. He's created 2 months ago. And I can see, oh, he signed in yesterday at 9:43 p.m. or a.m. And that's a risk state none, so that's probably all right. And from here, we also build it such that if we decide to say, oh, we don't want Jeppe on our tenant anymore, we can block him and we can delete him. We build a safe way, so we can only block users and then delete them. In the Azure portal or Enter portal, you can do either one. So let's say I'm blocking Jeppe here. It will then let me know, hey, we've initiated this. Sometimes it takes a little bit for Microsoft Graph to follow through on that. So we've just added a little warning that will stick around until he's officially blocked. Another scenario that keeps coming up is the guest users who, for some reason, don't understand they have to click the link in the email. Maybe the email went to junk. So we added this feature where we have a guest user who, for some reason, cannot sign in, and we have the option to regenerate their invitation link. This is especially handy if you're in a Teams meeting with someone who can't sign in. You can generate that link. You can just send it off to them right away, and they can follow through, and they'll be logged in. Here we can also see which security groups I'm a member of, and we have the option to open an Enter ID. That's about the features we built. Again, focus on making it simple to get an overview for the admins. Icons to show, has he accepted the invitation or not? Is he blocked? Yeah, so that's about the demo. Let's get back to the slides. So how we build it and what tools we used. So obviously, as any Microsoft consultant will tell you, we of course used Microsoft Graph. Graph has a bunch of awesome APIs, and one of those that we found pretty neat is the reporting APIs for sign-in history. with a little caveat that that's not included in an Office 365 license, only a Microsoft 365 license, asterisk there. But those allow us to pull stuff, not only like recent sign-ins, but also get a risk state and we'll know whether or not the users are at risk when they sign in. Is this a new IP? Is it not? So that sort of stuff is really cool as well. It also allows us to get the list of external users and interact with them. We can block them. We can regenerate the invitation links. All that stuff works pretty neat as well. And all of this is, of course, done right client side with delegated permissions, which is a little bit of a technical way to say, hey, when we're doing this, it's only being done if the user actually has access to it. So if a non-admin account tries to open this thing, they might get the list of users, but if they press a button, it will alert them and say, hey, you do not have the right permissions to do this. So we will stop them in their flow of work if it's breaking something. Well, that's a little bit about the technical stuff. Then we had some requirements for how we wanted to build it. We wanted something that was easily available in the flow of work. Again, right back to what I showed before with it working inside Teams, it works inside the Office thing, works inside Outlook. You can even embed this as a SharePoint web part on a SharePoint page. It works everywhere, which is a little bit of a joke I put in the bottom here, where I said write once, run everywhere. Don't tell Oracle that, because, well, that was what we were promised years ago, but never actually got there, or, well, sort of got, but it didn't really run. You had to do a lot of things. So with SPFX, we essentially have that, but for the Microsoft platform. There's also some familiarity for us, because both me and Jeppe are by now somewhat seasoned SPFX developers. Been doing it for quite a while, both of us. We know React, we know the Fluent UI framework. We know the stuff we're working with. So that made it the obvious choice. Could have gone the route of doing something with Teams Toolkit or something. We decided against that just because, well, it makes sense that you can run this inside Outlook as well, or inside Teams, or as a SharePoint web part, all of those places. Yeah, and then to summarize a little bit on that, I've got the slide that I know Vesa will probably bring up at some other point. He tends to do that, but I thought I would bring it in as well. So this is, again, highlighting how the SPFX library framework can run really anywhere. We've also got the Viva Connections adaptive card extensions that, while they have a slightly different front end, will allow us to use the code we already wrote in the backend and use that. So it's just generally pretty awesome broad. You build upon standards that people who are web developers will know already. Tools such as React. All the authentication's handled for us. Again, those delegated permissions, we don't really have to worry. We just grant consent for our app, and then we're off to the races, and the users can go ham. Awesome. I'll hand it over to my colleague Jeppe, who will be taking us through the code.
I'll try then. Let's talk about the code. We have aimed to keep it as simple and segmented as possible. But how did we start the project? First and foremost, we instantiated the project with the Juvonen generator for SharePoint framework, aka SPFX, as Dan mentioned. Therefore, the structure of the solution may seem familiar. Juvonen gives a good starting point for the project because it generates a lot of boilerplate code for us. But why did we segment the code further? Because Dan and I were working on the project at the same time. It was easy to divide the tasks and work on the project without making break changes all the time. However, there are many additional benefits as well. Segmenting the code brings several advantages. It makes the code more maintainable, scalable, and robust. It may seem like an extra effort at the beginning, but it pays off in the long run, especially as our application grows and evolves over time. And we just listed a couple of benefits in the slide. UX/UI, or UI/UX made easy. We used Fluent UI for creating this beautiful UI. We made it easy for ourselves by utilizing various frameworks. For instance, we used Fluent UI to quickly and easily create a visual interface that resembles Microsoft design. For those who not Familiar with the Fluent UI is a framework that includes a variety of components and styles that can be integrated directly into a solution and already has the Microsoft look and feel. Furthermore, the framework contains numerous methods that make it easy to manipulate the output of a component, allowing us to customize it according to our preferences. If you take a look of these two pictures at the slide, the one to the left is a standard Fluent UI persona component, and the one to the right is the same component, but with our custom rendering, where we joined several components into one. Yes, another framework we have used is PNP. Because the framework neatly encapsulates a lot of logic, allowing us to avoid writing extensive code and instead call individual methods. A good example is our method resend invitation by user ID action Dan in the demo showed. If disregard our error handling for the moment, there's a line where you really can see how the logic neatly encapsulated and presented in a straightforward manner. First of all, we need to call through a graph, and then we know we have to do something with the invitations. And lastly, we know we have to create this new link. It's pretty straightforward through the PNP JS framework. And another thing Dan showed, this pop-up that you have initiated a block of a user. So we were trying to make the non-instant instant. A lot of the actions through the APIs are delayed. So we tried to use caching to our advantage. If we look at the code example, we first of all check in our cache if we already have instantiated a block and the user pulling from the API is still enabled. If so, we are showing the dialog error message, call it what you want. Yeah. And lastly, we have some small but effective enhancement we have implemented. First of all, for instance, when inviting a user and we don't have all the user information, but only the email address, we created a method/function that finds the organization from where the users come from, or at least attempts to. If you look at the first picture here, we have my email address, js@evobis.dk. By splitting the text into some smaller bits, we can find Evobis. And there's where we come from, Dan and I. And lastly, another feature we have implemented, which is small but variable addition, is the ability to create a deep link intra. It's incredibly easy to set up, and all it needs is a user ID and the end of the URL. Yeah, that was pretty much that for me.
Awesome. So to summarize, developing for Microsoft 365 is pretty easy because the tools are right there, and the tools are well maintained. There's a vibrant community of people building like extensions or libraries such as PNP.js. Using SPFX makes it really easy to do something that's cross-platform, will run anywhere. Yeah, those tools are absolutely awesome. And that's about it. Give a like huge clap for my colleague Jeppe. This was his first community call. I think he did awesome. Yeah, and if you have any questions about the solutions, don't hesitate to reach out to either me or Jeppe. We're both somewhat active on Twitter, or X, or LinkedIn, or anywhere else, really. We will be more than happy to answer any questions there are.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jeppe. Really, really cool. Great job on the first demo as well, as Dan said. Really awesome stuff and a great solution as well. So great stuff. Now, the next demo section, we'll move to Irene to talk about the Microsoft 365 Actions. And this is a really cool capability as well. So we can see the screen, and let's confirm the audio as well. We cannot hear you yet. No, do we have an audio problem? No, no audio, no.
Now?
There we go. Now it works.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Excellent. Take it away.
Okay. Thank you. So, okay, sorry. Let me. Okay, now. So hi everyone, I'm Irene. Thank you for joining, and today I'm going to introduce you to a new coming feature called Actions across the Microsoft 365 platform. So it brings your app into a user's workflow, and currently it is in private preview, and we welcome you all to sign up and try it out. And so let's start with the pain point we are trying to solve for the users. Have you ever found yourself lost when toggling across various applications and windows just trying to accomplish a certain simple specific task? And people's daily work efficiency hurts a lot from constantly switching between apps and windows. People feel frustrated and easily get distracted while they need to toggle back and forth between apps to complete a task. And let's walk through a user scenario to make it more solid. So in this case, I'm a sales manager, and I use a Northwind app, which is an app built by third party as a supplier management system that I need to check my suppliers. And a lot of time I want to import files to my supplier management system. So after I read the file, I usually need to go to my the Northwind app. I need to find the supplier and open the file explorer to identify the location of the file I want to attach. And just for attaching a file, I can easily switch in between 4 applications and windows. And a little more complicated tasks where I want to find, I receive a report about different sales suppliers, and I want to check who are mentioned which suppliers are mentioned in my supplier management system from this report. So I first need to open up this report Excel file, and I also need to open up another window of my supplier management system, and I need to switch back and forth, manually check one by one to see if there are any matches. So many clicks, toggles, and I easily get lost and interrupted before I finish this task. So now let's see how the new feature Actions can help this make it easier. So let's do the same task. I usually start my day in the Microsoft 365 app where I have easy access to all my files. And to import my file to my supplier management system, now I can directly right-click on this file I want to import. And I see Add to Supplier, which is an action built by Northwind. So clicking on that, it actually brings me out a dialog, and I can simply choose which supplier I want to add to and click Add. So quick and easy. I finish this task without even need to open up the file or the supplier management system app. So the other task where I want to see which suppliers are mentioned in my report in my system. So I can directly right-click on the Excel file where I see related suppliers actions. And by clicking on that, this action brings me into the Northwind app directly inside the Microsoft 365 app in the same window. And it also directly shows me all the files, all the suppliers that are mentioned in this Excel already. So quick and easy, as you see, Actions is bringing efficiency to users. Through Actions, we help the users to complete their task with less clicks. It shortens the time they need to spend to complete the task. And also, with less app and window switching, it allows users to reduce the effort to complete a task, both physically and mentally. So with Actions, you have the power to help your users to complete their task easily without leaving their workflow. And from an app developer's perspective, an action brings your app to users. From this, it actually helps to increase your app's discoverability and user engagement. So when a user wants to complete a task on a piece of content like files, your app is right at their fingertip on the right-click menu. So from actions, your app will also get more context about the user intents, so you can serve your users better with the user's needs. From a developer's perspective, actions can be understood in three concepts: intent, object, plus handlers. So when a user wants to complete a specific task, it can be described from intent plus object, basically a verb of what the user wants to do, like open, add to, create, and a noun, basically what object the user wants to perform on, like a file or a task, a word, something else. And from a developer's perspective, you have the choice to build the handlers based on the information you receive, and you can choose to build the best way to help your users to complete their task in the most meaningful way. To build an action is very easy, and if you already have a Teams app built, it takes only like less than an hour just to add an action to it. So 3 simple steps to build an action. So step 1, you will just add your manifest. In your current manifest of the Teams app, you're going to define actions node as a simple JSON payload. And then you will able to use Teams.js API get context to get information about the actions and also get information about the object, basically the file that the user triggers on. And then by getting those information, you will able to call Graph API to get information or access the content or help your user to modify or do whatever they want with the content. So now it's demo time. Let's see a real example with the demo app. Let's see the demo app that we are, basically it's a demo app that everyone will have access to, and you can try it yourself. So let's see how it works. So now I am in Microsoft 365 app. And this demo app is a to-do app. It's a simple to-do app, which helps which user can like add an item or what they want to do, add a task they want to do, and also when they finish, they can mark something as complete, like simple and easy app. And now from users, for example, I start my day here and I want to create a task like I want to share this invoice template to my friends. And then I can go to right-click add to-do task, and it will have this attachment, and I can add a note saying, okay, share to Kate. Okay, I click submit. So this task is added to my to-do app. And when I finish this task, I can simply also right-click on it, and I can say mark complete. And here it actually, let me refresh. So here it actually brings me into the to-do app and where shows me all the tasks that are related to this file. So I can mark them complete. So to build the app actions like this is super easy. Let's go into the code. So this is my Teams app package. And in my manifest.json file, I add a node called actions. And this you can build multiple actions in the action node. So using the add to do task as an example, you can define the display name and you will define the intent add to. And you will define your handler. In this case, it will direct user to a dialog. So it goes to type open dialog. And I will say which objects it can support on. So here I say it can trigger it on like Excel, Word doc, and a bunch of other file types. And in the file, in the dialog info, I will put all the information I need to trigger this dialog. So basically, I have an HTML-based dialog, so I put the URL here. And go into the dialog, my handler, which is the dialog. I have this, I have get context. Yes, I'm using the get context Teams.js API to get the context about the actions and also get the objects IDs. And using this ID, I'm able to call Graph API to get the item from this ID. Okay, so back to the slides. So from this above example, you can see it is easy to build an action. And what's more important is that actions works across Microsoft 365 platform. So you only need to build once, it will show up everywhere across the platform. In our current private preview of actions, you can see actions works in Microsoft 365 app, and it is coming to Outlook and Teams soon. So in our private preview, we're starting with supporting actions on files that are more specifically that are files in OneDrive and SharePoint. We're going to extend it to more types of content and also more types of entities and objects later. And in this private preview, we're starting with enabling intents, including popular intents across M365 platform like open, add to, and we also enable a custom intent. In this case, you can fulfill any user needs. And we are also going to include more intents coming. That means more entry points, new entry points that you can see actions across Microsoft 365 platform. And also for handlers, right now we enable 2 types of handlers. It is your choice to see which one helps your user to complete their tasks easy. So that includes you can direct the users to open up the personal tab of your app, or you can help your users to complete their tasks in a dialog. So yeah, I shared a lot about the actions, and right now it is in private preview, and I invite you everyone to start trying, and you can fill out this form through this link to join our private preview. And feel free to contact me. I'm Irene Wang, and or through the link. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Really cool stuff and great capabilities and awesome demos as well. Good presentation, Irene, as well. Great job. Excellent. So let's then move into the third demo of today, which is moving to the Power Platform side of the house. And we have Marcel waiting to get started on showcasing something really cool with Power Platform and Visual Studio. If we can see the screen, Marcel. Let's double check the audio as well. And there we go.
Yeah.
Audio is there. All good.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Thank you, Vesa. Hello, everyone. Good day. It's my pleasure to be here talking about Power Platform and Visual Studio. So let's go straight to it. A quick intro about myself. I am Marcel Ferreira, and I work on the Pro Developer team in Power Apps Studio. So, and my message here today is basically that Power Platform welcomes Pro developers as well. Because Pro developers are code-first developers, the traditional developer, people writing code. And the point is the developer does more than writing code, he solves problems. And Power Platform is another way for you to solve problems quickly and efficiently. A way I like to define Power Platform is basically a low-code extensibility model for Azure. So developers are already using Azure to create services, store services, infrastructure, and so on. Power Platform is another one, and I will show one example where it makes sense to use it. Here on this slide, what I would like to point it out is that we do have developer tools ecosystems. We have CLI, our Power Platform CLI, which is our main engine for all the tools that we have for the developer, for Pro developer community. We also through CLI, we support CI/CD by using GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps. And we also have integrations with Visual Studio and VS Code. Okay. Today, I will specifically talk about Visual Studio and APIs. So again, this is a super important value for Power Platform. It welcomes everyone. So one of the main scenarios that we have of collaboration is when traditional developers are making their data available for Power Platform, and then citizen developers or business users, they will go and start to create with Power Platform. And that's great. And yes, we want people to keep doing that. But also, we want to point out that developers, they can use themselves Power Platform as well in the inner loop when they are developing solutions. And that's the scenario and the demo that I have today. So I will do a real case, which is basically, I will play the role of a back-end developer. So I have an inventory management legacy system, and I'm responsible for building APIs for this data that I have. Basically, I'll have 3 operations to retrieve how many warehouses I have, how many items, and how many items are available in each warehouse. Okay, I'm very good on that. I'm developing my API using Visual Studio, is a ASP.NET Web API. But I have a need now. My legacy system doesn't support mobile, doesn't support phone. So I have a bunch of field technicians. They are on the field doing maintenance, installation. When they need a part, they have to take the phone and call a warehouse to check if an item is available there. So the developer had a look, and then what the proposition value here is he will quickly, with Power Platform, create a phone app so he can deploy to the field technicians so they can get how many items are available in each warehouse in real time. Okay, and we are starting from scratch here. So there are 2 prereqs that the developer will have to do. He will need to create a Power Platform environment. He doesn't have one. And also he will have to create a solution. Let's go to it. I will talk over each step. So easiest way for you to get a developer environment is using the developer plan. So you can search for Power Apps developer plan, or you can get to the link in the end of the presentation. And this is not speed up. This is the normal process for you to get a developer environment for free. You get up to 3 environments. All you need is a business email. You will type your email, you log in as normal. Then you will sign in, and you will be taken to the Maker portal with 1 environment already created. And this is what this developer is doing. We'll just get started, and then I will be taken to the Maker portal. It might take a while for the environment to be created. It's very quick, very often. And then you see in the top right corner the name of your environment. I have an environment created for me. Right? So that's the first step. I have a Power Platform environment. That's great. Next step, it is, let's create a solution. So basically, a Power Platform solution is a way for you to pack all your artifacts that we will create through this demo. Think as a solution in Visual Studio, really. So let me go ahead and create a solution. So I have to go to the Maker portal, where I have an environment. Here I will use another account, which is the one that I will use for my demo. So here you can see I am in the Maker portal, and here I have 4 environments. I will use the dev environment, and I will create a new solution. I just click in solution, and I will create, let me close this. I will create a new solution. Let's call invent on hand, because this is what we will do. Just select the publisher, and let's go and create. Okay, I have a solution. So let's go to Visual Studio now, okay? So this is my API. As I said, we have 3 operations. So it's a normal API. I don't have anything in Power Platform yet. Let me use Swagger to test this API. It's running my local environment, my local machine. I will play and use Swagger to check if it's working. Okay, so here's my API. If I use this operation get, I should have a list of warehouses. There you go. So all working well. So let's make this API available in my Power Platform. So the way I do that is by using the connected services node here in my project, and then I select add Power Platform, and then I will be able, First, you have to select an account where you have a Power Platform environment. You select your environment. If you don't have an environment, you have the link here to create one environment. Then I will use the solution that I just created, and then I will create a new custom connector. And a custom connector is basically a wrapper around my API to make it available in Power Platform. Another thing that I have to do is I have to create a dev tunnel. Okay. Remember, we are in the inner loop. So the API is running my machine, and I'm using a dev tunnel to expose this API to a public endpoint, so I can use Power Platform with the API running my machine. And this allows me to debug in real time. Okay, and this is actually super great, and that's why the audience here is really pro developers. They can develop and debug in real time. Okay, now Visual Studio already created the connector for me. I need to run my API, so I'll be running the API. You can see here now it's using a developer tunnel. So it should be all good for me to use Power Platform. So I can open the Maker portal here from Visual Studio. I will use this link, which will take me to the right environment and with the list of connectors that I have in my environment. Here I will see the connector that I just created, Invent API. That's great. So let's go to the solution that I created, Invent on Hand, and I will go ahead and start to create my new app. So I will create a phone app very quickly. You will see I don't have any previous knowledge on any UI framework. I don't want to deal with the complexity of the UI framework, like dependencies and all that stuff. So I will call here Invent on Hand, and I selected phone because I want to do a phone app. So the first step, I will add the data from the custom connector that I created. It's called Invent API. I will add and create a connection. And okay, my API is already connected to this app. Let's use templates to make it quick. I will add two list screens. The first screen will show the list of items, and the second one will show the list of available items in each warehouse. So let me just, let me rename the screens here. We'll have screen 1, and we will have screen 2. All right, so the first screen, it will be the list of my items. So I will connect the gallery to my API, and here I will call my operation. So it's basically my custom connector dot the name of my operation. Get items. Let me change the layout. I want to show only 3 fields from my API, and let me select the fields. So these are the fields from my API. As you can see, I'm already connected. So let's use the item ID, the name, and the description. That's good enough, and I have my first screen ready. So it's basically a list of all the items that I have, right? And when I select one item, I want to see how many are available in each warehouse. So let's go to the next screen, the screen 2 that I just created, and that's all I have to do. Now let's open the screen 2 and let's add information about the available items. So it's very similar. I will connect the gallery to my API, and I will call the operation get invent on hand. This operation requires a parameter though, which is the item ID, which I will retrieve from the first screen. So let's call the browser gallery from the first screen. That's the name of the gallery. I will take the selected record, and I will use the item ID field. This is what my API requires. Okay. There you go. And I have a breakpoint, and you can see I'm debugging real time. I can see I have the item ID selected. Let me remove the breakpoint and continue working. Just to finish very quickly here. So let's change the layout. I just want to show the warehouse and how many items are available in the warehouse. So let's select here the city, which is my warehouse, where my warehouse is, and the number in stock. And my app is pretty much ready. I could change the name here, but let's just change the button. Let's add a back button so I can go back to the first screen and we can see the app working. Change the icon to back. And okay, let's add the code. We need to navigate to the screen 1. And we are good to go. So let's play the app. Here is, let's go back to the screen one. Here is the list of my items, and I can see how many items are available in each warehouse. So in about 5 minutes, I would say, I created the phone app, and this would be ready for me to ship to my field technicians, right? Well, not quite ready, and we will see. So all I need to do now is save, and all the app and the custom connector, it is in my solution, the solution that I created. Now I would have to publish to make this available, but the connector is connected to my local environment, right? The API is running my machine, so I need to update this custom connector. So let's do that. I can also use Visual Studio for that. So once I deploy this API, and I already deployed this API, is hosted in Azure. So I have an endpoint. Here I'm using publish profile. So you can see here the endpoint. This is my API. So I need to make the custom connector to go to that endpoint, not my dev tunnel. So once I'm ready, I can connect to Power Platform here as well, and I can update, or I can even create a new custom connector. I could use also another tool, but here I'm in Visual Studio, so I'm just doing that. But you get the point, right? The point is you need to update the custom connector when you want to share, so it will use a real API, which is already published. And here is the URL. You also have access to the open API file that the Visual Studio generates. You can put in your source code, you can customize, and you can do a lot more with that. But we will finish here. So let's quickly review what we have done. A backend developer, which is developing an API, he quickly gets started with Power Platform by using developer plan. You can create up to 3 environments. And then you can use that to modernize your legacy applications. You can easily create a front end, or you can even create automations. You can use Power Automate, a business website. So there are really lots of ways you can use it. You can go to the repo. This example, all source code is available. So you can use the link here in this QR code to have a look on the code. And then that's how I'll finish. And thank you very much for everyone. And back to you, Vesa.
Excellent. Thank you, Marcel. Really cool stuff. And it's great to see how simple this is getting to be. Awesome functionalities. This is great. Let me share my screen. So we are on the last minutes of the call. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jeppe. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Marcel. Really cool demos this time. Awesome stuff. Now, within a week, and that will be 12th of September, we will have 3 demos again. We'll have Yuri Moraziuk talking about it's Doc Assistant, which is a really cool solution. This is actually the #1 winner, so not a category winner, the winner of the Microsoft Teams Global Hackathon community. Global Hackathon. English is so hard. Anyway, then we have Dan Walling starting his a bit longer series, which is around integrating OpenAI communication organizational data features into a line of business app. So this is a really cool solution, which we'll go through within upcoming weeks. It will be a multi-week series with Microsoft Graph, Teams, OpenAI, all of that stuff integrated. And then we have Aline and Nate talking about automating business processes with custom Power Automate flows within the list template. So that is nowadays supported, and you can actually embed your custom Power Automate flows directly in list templates. So whenever you create lists within a SharePoint for data, it will automatically have all of those things available. Aline and Nate is going to talk about that one next week as well. Now, if you have any questions or want to get engaged with the community more deeply, please join us on our relatively new Discord server. And we do have actually more than 400 people already signed up, which is great. And we're getting more and more engagement throughout with the community within this channel. So do try that one out as well. Now, if you like these community calls, please do let us know as well how we can improve, or if you like them, please let us know the positive feedback as well. This is super important for us, for our management chain as well, to be able to continue these calls in the future. So if please don't just focus on how to improve, but focus also on the positives as you're providing feedback. That would be highly beneficial for us as well. Not that we are in plans of not continuing this, we are in plans for going years and years and years, but feedback is always important. Now, as mentioned in the chat, recording will be available in the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community channel within 24 hours, typically a bit faster than that. But if you subscribe to the channel, you will know exactly when the video is available. We will then also release individual demos as a separate demo videos within the channel within the upcoming weeks. The next call is in September 12th, as we already went through, and all of the community calls are at akms/community/calls. But that's it for today. Right on the last second of the hour, so let's close up. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a great rest of the week, and let's stay in touch. Bye-bye.